Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to call to order the Committee for Conventions, Tourism, and Public Entertainment Facilities. We have one issue to resolve, and that's Resolution RS 2017910. This resolution approves the issuance of public facility revenue improvement bonds by the Sports Authority of the Metro government, authorizing the pledge of certain revenues of Metro as security for the bonds and authorizing an official statement to be distributed in connection with the sale of the bonds. This is presented by Councilmember Sledge and Councilmember Vercher. Do I have a motion? Thank you. The discussion? Councilman Schumer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman. So the Budget Committee yesterday took up this measure, took up the resolution, and put 4 amendments on it. I think, depending on what the chair would like to do, I'd like to go ahead and move the 4 different amendments so we can get it in the right form, at least the form that it came out of the Budget Committee, and then it can be discussed overall. So it's amendments I, M, Q, and R. I think I've got that right. Did I miss one? Okay, forget all that. Let me start over again. So I need to move the substitute to get it into the right form.
Is there a second on the substitute? So it's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion regarding the substitute? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Now, I'm looking at Mr. Jameson, and this indicates it's going to be a long night for me. So what I'd like to do is move the amendments I, M, Q, and R onto the substitute so that if everybody's comfortable, we can discuss the bill as it came out of the Finance Committee at the same time.
It's been properly moved. Is there a second? Discussion. Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Even though I'm not on this committee, I wanted to give a brief explanation to the committee regarding all the amendments, especially R, because it's going to be a late filed amendment on the floor. I is filed by Councilman O'Connell. It regards making sure that we're being transparent in the contracting and receipts of the project. M is from Councilman Mendez. It regards some of the language regarding if the team were ever to be sold and some guarantee language. Q is from Councilman Elrod. It affects the whereas clause regarding the lease and the agreement coming per the council. And then the late file amendment that you will see on the floor, Amendment R, is a friendly amendment. It is the same language, but it is placed in Section 9. So it is placed within the body of the bill. So what we did last night in Budget and Finance was put that into the whereas clause through Amendment Q. Amendment R will put it into the body, and like I said, I consider it a friendly amendment. I will refer to Mr. Jameson if I've misspoken in any way.
Thank you. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had asked, and I unfortunately had to leave the room before the vote was taken and before I had this conversation, but Councilman Scott Davis is presiding over the Minority Caucus right now. I'd asked him about DBE participation in this as expressed in anything related to these resolutions in this deal. And I think he was in the queue, and I don't know if his answer was recorded at Budget and Finance, where I was just an observer yesterday. I don't know if you or the administration can speak to what is currently known about DBE participation here and whether or not the Minority Caucus has actually kind of validated that and approved it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, What I know is that as far as the minority caucus is concerned, we've not received anything concrete to indicate what the participation may be. I know that a letter speaking to a good faith effort, so to speak, has been submitted, but nothing concrete has been given to the minority caucus in terms of the inclusion for DBEs. And personally, I would like to see something a little bit stronger than what I've received so far. Council Lady Roberts, you've gone in and out. Are you? Councilman O'Connor, you're still up. Did you want to speak again?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think at this point I might direct that question to the administration. I'm aware that that letter was issued. I don't know if there's anything that can be said right now by the administration speaking to the deal and the parameters of it that would give better confidence and more assurances to the minority caucus and the rest of us on council about where we are, where we stand with DBE as part of the workforce component of the construction of the stadium and possibly the redevelopment project. Thank you.
Administration?
Finance Director O'Neill's letter, not on yet. There? No. I'll stand up and they can hear me. Now? No? On? No. Testing? Hello? Got it? Okay. Councilman, we share your concerns and we are committed to this issue as everyone is. Council Finance Director Lomax O'Neill sent a letter, I believe, to all members of the council to avert that we would have, we commit to regular reporting so that we would have updates, and I can, and all of our of us committed to having at least a 30% participation MBE on this project, as we've done on the convention center, Ascend Amphitheater, and some other projects. And obviously, that's a commitment of at least that. We hope to do better, and we also will work towards reaching the goals of the benchmark for each of the individual components of the MBE. So for both the minority, the women and other owned, that we reach those levels. So the commitment level is there. You're right. I think there's not something that maybe says that, but as we go forward into the procurement process to hire the construction firms and the other professionals in this, we will insist that we'll present that to you so all will see that there are, to the extent that we can by law, put these kind of requirements and goals into this procurement process. It's not something, I mean, we agree with it 100%, so we're on the same page, and we're going to get that, and I believe at the end of the day, we're going to find this is something that we're all very proud of. It's our commitment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to just come on the back and just say, I know we're going to do whatever we can do from the administration to make sure that the DBE are a part of this process, but I would strongly encourage that we would do just a little bit greater than what we have done before to make sure that this works in the way that it needs to. All right? Thank you.
You have our complete assurance that we're going to do everything we possibly can within constraints that we have, obviously legal, to make this work. Because this project is such a community. We want to make sure that everyone feels a part of it as we go forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just trying to get an idea of where we are. I have an overall question about the bill as amended. We're still on the amendments at this point. So once we get through deciding that, then are you going to come back to us and so we can talk about the bill as amended? Okay, then I'll reserve my comments for that point. Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments as we relate to the amendments? Council Lady Roberts.
So this is more to the bill than to the amendment, but I have a constituency that goes to the flea market. I go to the flea market. I just need to hear that those dates are not, that if it's a conflict in time, that the flea market's not going to be eliminated and pushed to the back burner.
Chair. If I'm on again, I can't tell if I'm on or not.
I think you are.
Yeah. Clearly, the flea market is not going to be impacted by this and their dates. All the schedules will be arranged around the flea market weekends, which is the last weekend of the month, I believe. And so everyone knows that going into it. And so the league will know that. Everyone will know that not to schedule games, the same time as the flea market, because it would be utter chaos there. I agree with you. And it would be very bad. And so part of this is everyone's going to have to work hard and work together to make this work for the betterment of the whole city. And I know that Laura Schlosser, who is on vacation and could not be here this week, she's committed to working with that. And in fact, we think it will only make it better for the flea market long term with the newer facilities that are part of this proposal, and as well as being able to utilize the stadium for vendors to set up, for concessions, for restroom facilities and all that. So at the end of the day, we think it's actually going to be a better experience for the flea market operation, by far a better experience than we currently have. But we are absolutely committed to continue the flea market operation.
Council Lady Roberts, I don't have a microphone, I hope you can hear me, but the substitute does add a specific provision whereby the fair director and the sports authority would have to have a mechanism for scheduling and resolving conflicts in the schedule between fair events and stadium events. So I think that offers some additional assurance.
Councilman Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to just speak a little more on that as well. From attending fair board meetings as this has been going on, it has been my indication that they are extremely, I think sensitive is the right word, but that they want to make sure that they're prioritizing the current events that are occurring. I have indicated in email responses to constituents I've had, I feel the same way and share that. And I did want to, there have been examples of sports facilities basically working around those kind of options. The one that occurs to me the most is San Antonio. The Spurs basically go on a road trip every year when the rodeo comes to town. And so there is precedent for sports facilities being able to be used for other existing uses with professional teams. Thank you.
Much closer to Bridgestone Arena this week with the CMAs. The last event they had at the arena was Sunday before last, and they've kept it open for 9 days so that the CMA award show could set up.
Thank you all for your discussion. Are we ready for the vote on the amendments? All in favor, say aye. Yes. So all of the amendments are being voted on together. So these are amendments I, M, Q, and R. Councilman Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think this is a split committee. So it's not a split committee?
The coast does not have a quorum.
All right, so, okay.
So we're basically speaking to conventions and tourism.
That's what I was trying to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are we ready to vote on the amendments? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. The amendments.
Now we're on the substitute as
Okay. Now we need to take a vote on the substitute as amended. Are we ready for that? Yes. All in favor? Councilman Schulman, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I want to clarify one point again, just to make sure, and then ask one overall question, which has been answered before, but just see if anything else has happened on it. I'll go to the second one first, and this is for Mr. Riebling. Questions came up today, people calling about Nissan Stadium and how old it is and future concerns about, what's going to happen with that. I know there's a report out. Is there any indication about anything we need to be worried about right now in terms of having to fix things, capital improvements, that type of thing?
Nothing of immediate crisis mode. I think over the next several months, we're going to be working on a plan, sort of an interim plan to kind of deal with what needs to be done at Nissan Stadium for the next 5 to 7, 8 years. At that time, it'll be near the end of its lease term. The Titans will be near the end of the lease, and I'm sure they're going to want to come back and start renegotiating those discussions. So, but it's nothing that I think we can afford from within existing revenues that already go to the fairground, stadium and the debt. So nothing of an imminent nature, but I think there will be some interim measures to make some improvements to that facility over sometime during this fiscal year.
And when does that lease end?
26 or 7.
Okay, 26 or 27.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me follow up on something that
Same time in which all of their debt, the debt that the city
will be taken care of.
will be paid off. So
Okay.
that stream of revenue then is freed up for councils and mayors want to talk about.
Okay. Follow up on something that Council Lady Roberts was asking. I guess I understand about the conflicts and trying to prevent those things from happening. You had said something about making sure that Major League Soccer, which I assume, if this all works out, they're the ones who put the schedule together. So we can send information to them and say, we, try to stay away from that fourth Friday and Saturday. So they'll get that information from us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
All of the leagues, do their scheduling year in advance, and Bridgestone is probably the most complicated of all of our buildings because of all the concert venues have to be gone for the CMA. So, for example, during they know when the CMA is every year, and that's when they do the league schedule. They know they can't have any games, 8, 9, 10 days before CMAs and then a couple of days after. That's just built in the schedule. The same way with the SEC basketball tournament on years in which we have the men's basketball tournament, which is 3 out of every 4 years. That's a week that basically comes right in the middle of the hockey season, but it's blocked off, and the league and everyone cooperates with that. It's just, I guess you would call it professional courtesy, but they obviously want to make it work for everyone.
Okay. All right, and thank you. That's helpful. One last question, and this is on the SP zoning, I understand. So is it all 10 acres, all the land that's being under consideration that for this new development would have to come back to the council, all of it? Because it would have to be designated as SP, and we would at that point be able to vote in terms of making sure that we understood the plan. So it's not part of it, it's all of it. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Schuman. And Mr. Reveland, I'm glad you mentioned the basketball tournament because this is something that has concerned me and puzzled me about this resolution. Because with basketball tournaments and Super Bowls and Olympics, they plan out where they're going to have those 2, 3, 4 years ahead of time, and it seems like we've only had 6 months to make a decision about this building this entire stadium, and it's just a huge decision with short time. And as far as the commitments that you have for DBEs, our history doesn't show that you've been committed. The history says that there have been broken promises. I'm not sure if they make a commitment to an organization or to a DBE, and then they decide later that they want to give it to someone else. So how do we have assurances that the DBE will have the participation that you say that you're going to give them?
Well, Council Lady, I think my word's pretty good. You have my word, you have the mayor's word, and I'm disappointed that that's not enough for you.
Okay, thank you. I'm disappointed as well. But, I speak truth. Are we ready for the vote? All in favor? Any opposed? I oppose. Any other? Are the other? Let's do it by hand. All in favor? Thank you very much. Do what? Yeah, I do want to be recorded as being opposed. That concludes the Conventions Tourism meeting. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.